And this is where we begin with the debate over how and when to begin reopening this country. President Trump says plans are close to being finalized, and the Washington Post has obtained one possible roadmap from the CDC and FEMA. The president has backed off claims to have total authority over such efforts. He now says it will be up to the state's governors.
The president is also escalating efforts to cast blame for the pandemic. He says he's withholding U.S. funding to the World Health Organization, claiming it didn't give the U.S. enough warning. Paula Reid is at the White House. Paula, we want to start with the possible roadmap for reopening the country. What do we know about it?
Good morning, Anthony. Well, the Washington Post has obtained a draft of this roadmap, and it's divided into 3 phases. The first phase focuses on really preparing the country, explaining to people how they should continue their mitigation efforts, and starting to educate people about how the government intends to roll some of those efforts back. Now, the second phase, which will go until about May 15th, emphasizes ramping up manufacturing of testing kits and also hiring more healthcare support workers to help with this massive response. But the country doesn't really start to reopen until phase 3, which cannot, according to this plan, begin before May 1st. But this draft of a strategy comes as the president continues to send mixed messages about who exactly gets to decide when the U.S. is back open for business.
I will then be authorizing each individual governor of each individual state to implement a reopening.
At his briefing yesterday, President Trump made a dramatic about-face in his ongoing feud with state governors, conceding they can decide when to open their local economies.
The governors are going to do a good job, and if they don't do a good job, we're going to come down on them very hard.
President Trump promises to issue revised social distancing guidelines soon and said he's singling out over 20 states to reopen first.
It's going to be very, very close, maybe even before the date of May 1st.
But in an interview with the Associated Press, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who wasn't at the briefing yesterday, said that Target is a bit overly optimistic as the U.S. does not yet have the critical testing and tracing procedures needed to begin reopening the nation's economy.
We have to have something in place that is efficient and that we can rely on, and we're not there yet.
The president seemed to dismiss his point.
Well, I don't know. Look, I don't know. I don't know what he said.
My question is,
Nobody knows.
The president also announced he will suspend funding for the World Health Organization, the international body which is coordinating the global fight against this pandemic through actions like shipping life-saving medical supplies to 95 countries.
The reality is that the WHO failed to adequately obtain, vet, and share information in a timely and transparent fashion.
The president claims the outbreak could have been contained in China if the organization had objectively addressed the situation instead of taking China's reporting at face value. But even after the group declared a health emergency on January 30th, more than a week later, the president was saying this about China.
Well, I think China is very, professionally run in the sense that they have everything under control.
And with a massive trade deal hanging in the balance, the president still appears unwilling to directly confront China.
I don't talk about China's transparency.
President Trump is not the only one who has criticized the WHO's response to coronavirus, but the only American scientists who were allowed into China to study this virus went as part of a WHO team. And earlier this week, the director of the CDC described the organization as a, quote, important public health partner. Last year, the U.S. contributed about $450 million to the WHO. They overall have about a $6 billion budget. Anthony?
Paula, thank you.